First of all, don't dream of what I've got or what somebody else has got. Figure out what you want and why you want that.
Welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it.
Hey, welcome back to the show. I hope you're doing well. And say, I get asked this question a lot, and it's how do I grow my real estate company? How do I get started? Right? It's just that question of like, what do I do? Because it seems like it's just so challenging. Right? Prices are high, and I can't figure out how to get my first deal, and I can't figure out even if I get my first deal, how do I get my second, my third, my fourth, and so on, and grow and get to something like what you've got today. And uh, okay, that's a challenging question, right? Because I don't really know what exactly you want. Do you want to build a portfolio exactly like mine? Do you want to build a portfolio like what you dream of, right? So, first of all, don't dream of what I've got or what somebody else has got. Figure out what you want and why you want that. So, what kind of portfolio do you want, and but why do you actually want that real estate portfolio? Right? A lot of people, I think, that want to buy real estate, want to get into it. They What they want to create is passive income, and they want to create this passive income that's going to allow them to continue the lifestyle they have when they decide to retire. And maybe it's retire early, maybe it's retire in a couple of years. Yeah, or maybe it's retire in 20 years when they're 65 and they're done working. So if that's the case, that looks a lot different than somebody's like, 20, 25 that says, hey, I want to do real estate full time. Like, I don't want to retire. I want to quit my job that I've currently got, but I want to build a real estate company. Right. So those are two totally different things. So first step, I think, not I think, I know is really important is that you figure out exactly what you want and why you want that. Like understanding that is critical to deciding what strategy to use because there's a lot of different strategies in real estate and none of them are necessarily wrong. There's a lot of strategies in business, right? And none of them are wrong. I shouldn't say none of them. Of course, there's some that are just not going to be productive and not going to get you what you want. But um, there's so many different options, and that's the beautiful thing. But that's also the confusing part about it. So again, first things first is figure out what exactly you want. That person that's looking to retire and wants to build up passive income, that's going to be a different approach. That approach is going to be, look, invest in. I've got syndications that we do, right? And there's a lot of people that are doing kind of similar things to what I do. They've got their own syndications. So find the right syndication partner, find the right operator, and put your money with them. And continue to work your job and use as much of your income to be able to push that towards investments, um, and grow your passive income like that. Use your, past 401ks that you can turn into self-directed IRA. Use cash that you've got, just invest as much as you can into passive real estate investments. And that's a great strategy. Of course, you could also go the route of doing some of that, maybe buy some triple net lease properties. You think of a Dollar General or things like that, where they're leasing the building. They've got a long term lease at Walgreens, whatever. They've got this long term lease, and you're buying the building and they're leasing from you, right? There's a little bit more work to do on that, but not a lot. Still fairly passive. Um, and of course you've got the risk of that company going under or that company buying that lease out or whatever it might be, and that can be obviously devastating if that does happen, and that happens. People think that they're risk free, but they certainly have got risk to them. But that's another route, or hard money lending, or there's different routes you can go. Those are easy. The good thing about the passive route is it's easy to get into, right? You've got to do your due diligence. Certainly don't want to make it sound like it's just, find a deal and invest in it, look for the best returns. That's probably the biggest mistake, is looking for the best returns. No, don't look for the best returns. Look for the best operator. Look for the best piece of real estate. Look for the best company that's that has the lease on that property, right? A Dollar General is a lot different, a lot maybe better than Eats Cookies, right? That has a triple net lease. They both have triple net leases. They both maybe have triple net leases that are 25-year terms. But, Pete's Cookies has two locations, right? Well, what happens if they go out of business? What's your lease really worth, right? Well, probably nothing, because they don't have any backing. And even at Dollar General, look, I don't know how those leases are set up. They're probably set up pretty strong. But if at Dollar General it's just a corporate backing, and okay, that's good. That's nice. But what happens if they go out of business, right? So, anyways, thinking about the risks, finding the right operator, finding the right location, finding the right uh, tenant, all those kinds of things are really important. So that's super important. But the due diligence, the learning curve is certainly much quicker. And then the opportunities that are out there are much more abundantly found for you. So that's a good strategy, and that's something that you can start with $50,000 and continue to put $50,000 in every year or two, and you can grow that. And those syndications start to sell, and it starts to snowball, right? Or the hard money loans, or the notes that you buy. You can buy real estate notes. Those start to turn over, and all of a sudden you double your money on your first investment. So now your 50 grand turns into 100 grand, and you can now invest that in 5 years, and that turns into 200 grand, and you can invest that. And it just continues to snowball, and it takes a while, but after the first 5 years, all of a sudden your money starts to double every year, right? And it continues to do that, and that's where it can grow substantially. It's not the first year, it's not the first 3 years, but it's that first fight kind of sale and transaction, and then the second one, and then the third one, and so on. And as long as you continue to cycle it and finding great deals, it works out really well. All right, let's talk about the active route. So look, if your dream is to truly grow a big company, okay, again, think about what you want. Think about where you want to go. You can go the single family route, right? Small multifamily, duplexes, so on. Um, and, and and that's great. That's okay. I think that only takes you so far, and it could be far enough for you, right? A lot of people say, well, you get, I think 10. I think the number is, oh, you get 10 houses and you're set. I disagree with that, but you could be, if you get the right 10 houses and they work out really, really well. Prove me wrong, I guess. But I think really you got to be more like 20 or 30. And even that can be difficult. Okay. So you could go the single family route, you go the multifamily route like I'm doing. And you can go syndication, or you can go joint venture if you're making, especially if you're making really good money. And then there's also commercial real estate, right? And so there's a lot of different things in commercial real estate. There's retail, you could take advantage right now of the office. Look, that right there is, in my opinion, potentially the the single best investment opportunity that you could have. Now, there is risk involved, and that's why it's so lucrative right now. That's why it could be so good. There was just an office building in Minneapolis that sold for 90% under what it sold for previously. So it's crazy numbers, right? It it literally sold for what was it, like $70 million, and then just recently, so for $70 million, let's call it like 2018 or something like that. Recently, it just sold for $7 million, 6.5, I think it was. Look, that's a huge discount, massive discount. Now, I don't know if that's a good deal. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a good deal, but you can see there's potential in massive opportunity there. That company bought that building for a fraction of the price that it was sold for before. So for some reason, somebody thought it was worth $70 million, right? For some reason, somebody thought that. Obviously, it wasn't because and maybe it was at the time, but it eventually became not worth it. Okay, so but has massive vacancy rates. They've got big problems. But if you can buy office in well located areas that has those big problems, but you can fix those problems, that's where you can make a boatload of money. Maybe it's repurposing some of the asset or all of the asset, right? Taking it, turning it into a multifamily. That can be really hard, by the way. Or turning it into I've seen office being turned into like self storage, um, warehouse type space. Okay, so maybe you can take all or a portion of it and turn it into that type of space. Maybe you can add, maybe it's in a great location. I mean, they just have office in the whole building, but you can say, well, man, we've got some great retail frontage. Okay, great. So turn, the main level and the front facing stuff into retail. That could be an amazing opportunity, right? So there could be amazing opportunities in office. A lot more risk, but great opportunity. That I like in the office. It's different, certainly, but I like in that opportunity to the opportunity that I was able to take advantage of, which was the single family home meltdown that happened back in 2008 through 2013. Right, that's where office is right now. Of course, office is a different beast. I don't want to say it's the same thing's going to happen to it. It could stay bad, but I think there's a great amount of opportunity if you have the risk appetite for it and you understand the asset class. So that could be an amazing opportunity. But retail retail's really strong, right? And again, well located retail, really strong. Industrial, it's been the darling of real estate for a really long time. It's not going anywhere. Self storage, home parks, assisted living, and all that. There's so many different things you can decide. Hey, I'm going to focus on this. So don't just say, oh, because everybody else is doing multifamily, because Todd's doing multifamily, I got to do multifamily, right? Or because I'm going to do single family is easiest to get into, and then I'm going to graduate into multifamily. Look, it's not necessarily the answer for you. So you've got to determine what you want, what you like. Why do you like that asset class? What does it do for you? And then go all in on that asset class. I think you can be an extremely successful retail strip center guy. I think you can be an extremely successful, um, you know, last mile warehouse gal, right? I think you can do really good picking whatever asset class it is that you want and going forward with it. All right. So how do you grow and scale though? That's still the question that I haven't answered. So again, like everything, there's several answers. So first, I'm going to talk about how I did it. How I did it was just buying small properties. I took basically every last penny I had, and I don't recommend necessarily taking every last penny you have. But my wife and I took every last penny that we had, and we bought our first rental property. And then from there, we refinanced that rental property after we fixed it up. We did our value add, fix it up, and then what did we do with that? We bought our second rental property and our third and our fourth, and so on. And then I ran out of money. What did I do? I started flipping houses to make more money, to be able to buy more rental properties, to be able to grow my portfolio. So you can do it that way. You can bootstrap it. You can work really hard at it, and grow and scale that way. And I think you can do that whether it's a single family home, whether it's with retail, whether it's with industrial, whatever it might be. You're going to start with smaller buildings, right? So if it's retail, it's not like you're buying the 100,000 square foot retail strip center. You're buying a maybe even a single tenant, 5,000 square foot, whatever it might be, little retail spot. Okay, you're buying that. You're doing some renovation to it. You're making it pretty, and then you're getting better rent for it, and you refinance it, and you take that money and you repurpose it and you redo it, and you buy another 5,000 square foot, maybe it's a 10,000 square foot, and you continually grow like that, and then you eventually sell those, and now you buy the 100,000 square foot strip center, or again, industrial or self storage or whatever it might be. Doesn't have to be single family, but it's buying smaller buildings with the money that you have, that you've worked your butt off to get, and you're taking that and just buying smaller buildings. It's a challenge, right? It's going to take, that's the long game. You have to play the long game. You're not going to get there really quickly, and that's fine. You're going to get there slowly but surely. Okay, and that's the key, is that you understand that the patience and discipline is going to get you there, and it's just consistency. And by the way, all of this is consistency. It's all consistency. Passive investing is consistency. Active investing is consistency. Investing in single family homes is consistency. Investing in large apartment buildings, it's all consistency. Okay. The next way to do it is to find JV partners, right? And so it's you and several other people, and you're buying larger buildings. Okay. There's a big advantage of larger buildings. They typically have less risk. And I would say as much or more opportunity. And so now you're spreading your risk. You're able to scale. It's got more zeros. It's got more potential to make you even bigger money. Of course, now you've got partners to deal with. And so if you've got JV partners, you've got other people that have attitudes, have opinions, right? And they've got their own ideas, right? So you want to make sure you've got the right partners in place, because the JV doesn't mean that these people are passive. They technically should be active with you. And so you got to make sure that, we've got some goals that are aligned with each other. But JV allows us to go a lot further, right? And I did do some JVs to start with, and grow my business. So I didn't do it all alone, even though I first said I did it all alone. I started all alone, but then I started to do some JVs as I ran out of money, as I wanted to do more deals. I started JV with people, and it worked out really well for me. Not every partnership was perfect, but worked out pretty well. The last one would be, and by the way, that's not the last one. There's a lot of other options, but the last one I think I'll talk about, is syndication. And so I talked about passively investing in a syndication, but now if you want to be the sponsor side, the general partner side, you can actually raise funds for these deals. And so this one, I want to start off by saying, just be really careful if you're doing this. I don't think that most people should do this without experience. Actually, I don't think anybody should do this without experience. So I don't think this should be your first deal. I don't think this should be your second deal. I don't think this should be your third deal. I think you need some experience. I think you need some properties you've purchased and sold and have gone through some of the pains that come along with it before you start raising other people's money. Okay, so I want to preface by saying that I think that's really important. Now, is it a requirement? No, but I do think it's really valuable, really important, and I think that's your fiduciary responsibility. And I've maybe said at other times that I think you can start out doing that. I've changed my attitude about it. I think it's really important that you have some experience. How much experience? It really depends on you. It really depends on you. But I think you should have gone full cycle on some deals. I think you need to have some deals under your belt because you're gonna go through issues. And why go through those issues with a bunch of investors? Now, if you want a JV and everybody, um, to do bigger stuff, I think that's fine without an experience because your partners with these people. They're truly actively your partners, right? They're making decisions with you. You guys, none of you have experience, right? So that's a different deal. But the passive route is these are investors that are supposed to be passive and they're supposed to be trusting you as the sponsor to make the decisions for them and for the building and for the betterment of the investment, right? And so I think it's really important that you have that experience, but that's a great way to scale. It is. And so you're gonna now buy that 100,000 square foot retail shopping center, and you're going to raise the $5 million from passive investors, and you're going to, everybody's going to invest 50, 100, $200,000 into this opportunity. They're passive, you're active, you're going to invest your own cash too, right? And then you're going to buy this 100,000 square foot shopping center and run it and prove concept and, grow like that. The beauty of doing a deal like that is you can do a lot of them. You can do larger deals, right? You can really grow your business. Now, you still have to understand that's a different business model. Okay. It's not for everybody. It can be very difficult. You have to answer to investors. You've got other people now, a lot of people that are counting on you as a business owner. They're counting on you to make the right decisions, to be able to get the results they're looking for. And so you have several different, you know, extra layers or extra things that you're worried about, right? You're worried about the investors. You're making decisions for the investors. You have to make the right decisions for these investors. And even if you decide, hey, you know, I, I think we should do X, Y, Z to the property. Certainly, you've got some leeway, but you also have a business plan that you laid out. So you got to be careful with how far you deviate from that business plan. So you gotta answer to people, right? If it's your own, you can deviate as far as you want from the business plan. If you decide that this is the best way to go ahead, do it. But you kind of got to be careful when you got passive investors. How far do you deviate from the business plan? You probably shouldn't deviate too far from the business plan, at least without approval from your investors. And then, of course, you've got a couple different businesses, right? You have a business of finding and buying the real estate and operating the real estate, but you also have a business of finding the investors, of raising money from the investors, of creating those relationships, and then of maintaining that relationship, communication and all of that kind of stuff. Now, it's made me a better business owner by doing syndication because I've now have created more accountability, and so I have to file and do monthly reports. We have to make sure we're really paying attention to the books and what's going on because we're reporting on those every single month. And so it's definitely made me better at operating, better at being diligent about what we're doing and what's going on. But it comes with an added layer of complexity if you're going to go that route. Okay. So I've talked about three different routes. One is bootstrapping, you do it on your own, and you can flip properties. You can flip commercial properties, single family properties, whatever. You can flip properties. You can buy notes, flip notes. There's so many things you can do, but use those proceeds to continue to grow your portfolio. You can go the JV route, where you're just partnering with a couple of other friends, family, and you're buying buildings together. And then you can go the syndication route where you're raising from friends and family and you're growing and scaling like that. Or you can do, by the way, all three. Okay. You can combine all three. So lots of different ways to get started in real estate, lots of different ways to grow. And by the way, when you're doing any of the three, you start to get creative too. Um, we just talked with the group. Now they haven't sold this building to us yet, but we'll see if it happens. I think it will eventually. Um, we offered on a building that they own, and we sent them an offer to buy it cash. Okay, so we would get traditional financing, and they would get the cash. We also gave them an offer to buy it with seller financing. And we also them an offer to buy it on a master lease option, which means that we create a triple net lease. We pay them a monthly lease fee. Okay. And then we collect the cash flow and operate the property. And so we're their tenant. We're paying them a monthly lease. So there's a lot of different creative ways to do things. And we actually met with one of the owners yesterday. And she's like, look, I really appreciate your creativity. That was really awesome. And part of the meeting, or not the part of the meeting, the whole meeting was just to get to know each other, just see if we end up wanting to do business with each other. They're not ready to sell right now, but they likely will be eventually. And so let's get to know each other a little bit. And she appreciated our creativity and what we had to offer. Now, it doesn't mean that creativity is going to happen, but my point is people appreciate that. So when you are looking at purchasing right now, I think it's important. You've got to not only look to buy properties, but you got to look at how can you work deals out that work well for you and for the seller. And so start to get creative, start to think about how can I do this differently than the next person? How can I set myself apart? I've purchased many apartment buildings on different types of seller financing terms. I've talked about a lot of my podcast on how I've structured those, but it's a beautiful way if you're going to be active to try to structure deals, and you can JV those deals, you can syndicate those deals, or you can buy those on your own with cash. We're looking at a lot of opportunities right now, and one of the things that we're trying to do is to buy more properties ourselves through creative financing. How do we get into these deals? Creative financing, and not have to bring a ton of money to the table, but still control the asset. So, anyways, man, this is a big topic, and there's no right or wrong answer. There's what your vision and goals are, and then from there, break it down and start thinking about what strategy do I want to do. Look, I got a guy I have been mentoring for years, and he's bought several multifamily properties, done really well, and now he's decided instead of buying multifamily, and not saying he's stop buying multifamily, but he is developing. And there's another way to get into real estate is to develop the real estate. And you can be the developer, you can be the contractor, but uh, you can get that. I know people that are land arbitrage people. So what they do is they find a great piece of property in a great location, and they get the city to approve a specific plan for that. And then they go find the developers, and then they sell the land to the developers, and they'll either take that profit, or they'll keep the profits for equity in and ownership in the investment. So lots of different ways to slice the pie. The most important part is that you actually go there and take action and do the thing. All right. If you're not going to take action, you're not going to get the results. I'm Todd Dexheimer. That's it for today. You have a fantastic rest of the day. Make every day a Saturday.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. Say, I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe, but your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So The other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out. And we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.